Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best rides at Walt Disney World, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to ride it. Whether you want a rope drop, book an individual lightning lane, use a VIP tour, use Premier Pass, I'm going to go over all of the different strategies that you can use to ride Guardians of the Galaxy on your next Walt Disney World vacation. For those of you that are new here, my name's Matt. I'm the host of the Adventures of a Disney Dad podcast and the founder of adventuresofadisneydad.com. I'm also a travel agent with the Magic for Less Travel. If you'd like my help planning your next Walt Disney World vacation, my services are completely free to you. The link to get a quote is going to be in the description. And in this video, we're going to jump right into who can ride Guardians of the Galaxy, how best to ride Guardians of the Galaxy, and the best strategies so that you can keep your wait times low. By way of background, Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the most thrilling rides at Walt Disney World. It is located towards the front of EPCOT, which is one of Disney's 4 theme parks. It does not go upside down. It has a height requirement of 42 inches. Pregnant women should not ride. If you have a child that's 4 or 5 that reaches the 42-inch height requirement, make sure you have a long discussion with your child as to whether or not they want to ride this ride, and even consider watching a POV ride through here on YouTube. Now let's get into the 4 different ways that you can ride Guardians of the Galaxy on your next Walt Disney World vacation. I want to point out right at the beginning that as of February 2025, there are no longer virtual queues at Walt Disney World for Guardians of the Galaxy. So if you've heard or read anything about virtual queues, just throw it out of your brain. You can now use standby lines at Guardians of the Galaxy at Walt Disney World. What is a standby line? A standby line means you just show up to the ride and you get in line. Those are going to be the longest and obviously the most affordable because there's no cost other than your ticket to get in, options to ride the ride. If you are planning to use a standby queue, rope drop, which means getting to the park very early, sometimes as early as an hour before it opens, either for general entry or early entry for Disney Resort guests, and going directly to that ride is going to be your most optimal strategy. If you're using standby, you can expect the longest lines, so it would be around midday between 12 noon and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the wait times will continuously dip as we get into the evening. But it's really important to understand that dip does not mean that it's going to be short. There are probably very few points during the day, if at all, that the standby line will be lower than an hour for Guardians of the Galaxy. The one good thing about the queue experience is that the majority of it is going to be inside a building. So if you're coming to Walt Disney World during the summer or even during spring break, when it's really hot, you're going to have the opportunity to stand in dark air conditioning. There is a very, very long pre-show, so you're going to get a lot of time indoors, which can be a benefit if it's hot outside. All 3 of the remaining strategies involve using line skipping services, but it's important to note that multi-pass is not an option for Guardians of the Galaxy. The only option for line skipping services for Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be individual lightning lane, which means you're paying anywhere from $14 to over $20 per person to ride Guardians of the Galaxy. You can purchase individual lightning lanes through the My Disney Experience app 7 days before the check-in of your Walt Disney World vacation if you're staying at a Disney resort. If you're not staying at a Disney resort, you're staying off-site at a Holiday Inn or a Marriott or Hyatt, anything like that, you're going to be able to book individual lightning lanes 3 days before your tickets. Individual lightning lanes can sell out, so you want to make sure that at 7 a.m. Eastern, you are ready to purchase your lightning lanes as soon as they become available. The only individual lightning lane that you can purchase at EPCOT is Guardians of the Galaxy. The pricing for individual lightning lanes for Guardians of the Galaxy can vary per person, per day, depending on the crowds. So the lower crowd days, it's going to have a lower price. It can be as low as $14 per person. More crowded days between Christmas and New Year's, spring break, it can be upwards of over $20 per person. When you book an individual lightning lane, you'll be given a return time. You have to follow that return time as to when you're going to be able to ride the ride. The faster you book when your individual lightning lane period opens, the better return time options you're going to have. You can modify your return time, but availability can be limited. Is it worth it? In my opinion, buying an individual lightning lane for Guardians of the Galaxy is the easiest financial decision that you'll make during your Walt Disney World vacation. And it's simply because the standby line for Guardians of the Galaxy can be anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. You're guaranteed to be able to save yourself that time by purchasing the individual lightning lane up front. If you give me the opportunity to pay $20 per person to save up to 4 hours on my vacation, I'm absolutely taking it every single time. So from that perspective, I think it's absolutely worth it. Are there other strategies that you can use if you have a big family and you don't want to spend all that money? $20 per person for a family of 5 is not a small amount of money, and I understand that. There are other strategies that you can use, including rope drop, to make sure that you try and save as much time as possible. but just understand there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be trying to rope drop that same ride. So you're going to have to be prepared to wait a little bit. Standby queue and individual lightning lane are going to be far and away the most common ways to ride Guardians of the Galaxy. However, there are two additional ways that you can ride Guardians that are far, far, far more expensive, but I want to make sure that we note them here. One is Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Lightning Lane Premier Pass is a new line skipping service offered by Walt Disney World. You purchase it on a per park basis and the price is different each day and it's different for each park. Magic Kingdom can be the most expensive, and EPCOT, for the purposes of Guardians of the Galaxy here, typically costs between $169 per person per day, and it can be up to $249 per person per day. Again, it's going to be more expensive on the more crowded days, less expensive on the less crowded days. The unique part about Premier Pass is you can ride every ride at EPCOT one time at any time that you want to. So for the purposes of Guardians of the Galaxy, if you purchase Premier Pass, you can walk up and ride Guardians of the Galaxy through the lightning lane, skipping the standby queue anytime during the day, but you can only do it once per person. This is different from multi-pass because with multi-pass, you have to book rides in advance and you get specific return times. And notably, Guardians of the Galaxy is not an option in multi-pass. In my opinion, for most families, Premier Pass is not going to be worth it. And that's partially because multi-pass and buying the individual lightning lane for Guardians of the Galaxy tends to be a much better strategy at EPCOT because there are far less attractions that are worth it to skip the line. If you are considering spending more money to get that premium service to skip the lines, you should consider a VIP tour. VIP tours at Walt Disney World give you an actual VIP tour guide throughout the parks. They tend to cost between $400 and $900 per hour. So keep that in mind. You can have up to 10 people in your group and you can split that hourly cost. You do have to get a minimum of 7 hours. The VIP tours at Walt Disney World are fantastic and they're absolutely worth it. But it is a very, very premium service and it is very expensive, but it's not something that's for everyone. But the most important thing for the purposes of this video is you're gonna be able to get on Guardians of the Galaxy at any time you want and you're gonna be able to skip the line. And there you have it. To recap, if you wanna ride Guardians of the Galaxy at Walt Disney World, you have 4 options. You can either stand in the standby queue and wait anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. You can buy an individual lightning lane, which can range from $14 to over $20 per person to ride it one time. You can purchase Premier Pass, which lets you ride it one time, skipping the lines, and it can be very expensive, anywhere from $169 to $250, or you can jump all the way up to a VIP tour to skip the line. But no matter what, you're gonna be riding it one time, or you're gonna be standing in the standby queue. Let me know which option you prefer for your Walt Disney World vacation or how you're planning to rope drop or use your EPCOT strategy in the comments below. If you found this video helpful and you wanna see more videos like it, hit that subscribe button.